let's see here. Christmas tree. Check. Santa hat. Check. Eggnog. Whew. Yeah, that'll last me for a while. And commercialized Christmas t-shirt of obligatory Christmas character. Check. And lastly, one obligatory non-canon Christmas special. Well, it's better than a lump of coal in your stocking this year, so why not?
Father Christmas, give us some money. We got no time for your silly toys. We'll beat you up if you don't hand it over. We want your bread, so don't make us annoyed. Give all the toys to the little rich boy. Have yourself a good time.
It's been a long time since we've done this, haven't we? Thanks. Despite my best efforts, and the fact that certain special elves are still at work at future episodes...
No! None of that one! No! Oh, man! There has got to be an easier way to do this!
I instead decided to spread a little holiday cheer with a little episode that doesn't wreak havoc with the upcoming storylines that are going to be in the near future. And trust me, with this little gift from me to you, I decided to pick a good one. Because, oh boy, do I have something very special for you this year.
Jingle bell, jingle all the way.
Ah, yes, Jingle all the way. Of all the holiday movies to come my way, why do so many people see much charm in this? I can understand stuff like Edward Scissorhands or Home Alone, but this? Really? For those who don't know, there have been times in the past when customers would go all out just to get the latest toy advertised as the one kids must have. And I mean all out on stuff like the Cabbage Patch Kids, Furbies, Tickle Me Elmo, the list just goes on. Now, I'm not against the premise of this movie at all. I actually think it could work. It is if you have the right people to pull it off. When you take a script written by one of the guys who did Eight-Legged Freaks, have it rewritten by the producer Chris Columbus, and directed by Brian Levant, that are known for these masterpieces, the final result is... I have no idea. And yet every year I always pass by that one person who praises it as a Christmas classic, or find it while I'm channel hopping and see it being played on some continuously mindless Christmas marathon. So, am I really missing something here? Could this potentially be another Christmas classic that I'm not tuned into? Well, only one way to find out. Plus, on a side note, I'll be reviewing the Extended Director's Cut. After all, 'tis the season. So you're gonna get your money's worth while we're here. So we start off with what looks like a knockoff of the Rocketeer mixed with the Power Rangers in a blender with peppermint tonic and gin.
Stop him!
The only thing missing from this weird concoction of imagery is Crankor from Prince of Space. No, it happens to be Turbo Man, a popular TV show about a flying superhero that I guess is a parody over that weird stuff we got in the 1990s. Then again, the 1980s had it worse.
Hello, my name is Rubik.
One of the fellow viewers happens to be a kid named Jamie, played by Jake Lloyd. And yes, I'm aware he would later play young Anakin Skywalker. Personally, I have bigger fish to deal with in this movie here. Besides, when it comes to child acting, what gets hired on is very much what ends up in the final cut.
Here's to you, Dad.
On top of that, Jamie's father, Howard, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is trapped in that family film trope where he's the workaholic dad who never spends enough time for his son and yet tries to, despite constantly failing in keeping his word.
I know Chinese karate class. Don't worry. I'll meet you there. I promise. And don't forget, you're my #1 customer. Liz, look, I didn't mean that.
Gee, how many films in the 1990s used that trope? Oh yes, way too bloody much! But let's step back and focus on the main course here. Arnold himself. After making it big as an 1880s action hero, the Muscle Man decided to switch over to a more family-friendly image. Hints of this were in Terminator 2, which showed his versatile abilities in being a machine with a heart of gold. This later spread to other projects which ranged from successful to not so. And even if certain ones didn't work, you can still tell this guy had a lot of fun in the role. So I don't put the blame on Arnold here, as you can actually tell he's having a good time and really trying with all the emotional stuff he's given. It's just the way his character is written that bothers me. I get the idea he's supposed to be this father who wants to spend time with his son, but accidentally ends up neglecting him. But man, they constantly hit us over the head with it. It was already established enough from the first scene when he misses his son's karate class graduation. How much more do we need to hammer this in?
I know. You should have seen the traffic, and on top of that, I got a speeding ticket.
Don't explain it to me. It wasn't my karate class you missed.
Purple is important to me, Dad. That's 1 away from green and 3 away from black.
But I saw you get yellow.
But you missed blue? The Holiday Entertainment Parade. We go every year.
Oh.
Well, you didn't go last year or the year before.
Would you hold the goddamn hammering, please?
If that's not bad enough, they rub it in more with a running gag where his neighbor Ted, played by Phil Hartman, is more into his wife. I mean, more into the Christmas spirit than he is.
I had some extra lights in the garage, and since you didn't put up any yourself, I thought, what the heck?
So what happens to Blitzen after Christmas?
I've been watching a family of deer down by Lake Minnetonka. I thought I'd take them down there and set them free.
Not to rag on a good performance, but the only reason this character's purpose serves is to show how less of a family member Howard is. And it's not like I'm completely against this angle at all. It's been done before, like Ned Flanders on The Simpsons. But that worked as The Simpsons were a parody of the Modern Family, while the Flanders served as a commentary for good moral folk. There's another reason why this subplot bothers me, but I'll save it for later. Trust me, I'll put it to good use. So, to make up for his son, Howard asks him what he wants for Christmas. The loving response is...
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the boomerang suitor, and the rock and roller jetpack, and the realistic voice activator that says 5 different phrases, including, "It's Turbo Time!" Accessories sold separately, batteries not included.
Okay, someone needs to dial back on the Cocoa Puffs there. Sure you don't want a Talk Boy for Christmas? They were all the rage in 1992. But when his wife asks if he got the toy, Howard lies to her, claiming that he did instead of telling her that he didn't. At this rate, I don't know if I should take pity or punch him for this, but we need a character arc, so why not? And despite his wife foretelling the Turbo Man action figure will be sold out, Howard is determined to find it by adding one lie on top of many at breakfast.
Howard, it's Christmas Eve. You can't be going to the office.
I have to pick up the DOLL. I left it there by mistake.
Oh, okay.
Dad, you can't go to work today. What about the parade?
I won't miss it. I'll be there. I promise.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And thus our chase to get his son a Christmas gift begins, to which, honestly, I feel is where Jingle All the Way gets better. Okay, I'll be blunt. I actually like the first half of this movie more than the second half. His journey to find the hot Christmas gift is actually enjoyable. Obviously built on a satire of parents searching for the newest must-have toy on the market, there are some jokes and funny concepts that are pretty amusing. For example, he goes in one of the stores where it's sold out and tries to get help from retail workers.
Do you have any more in the back?
These guys are looking for a Turbo Man?
A gentleman dog, yes. Where's your Christmas spirit?
Believe me, buddy, after coming off of 5 years of retail experience, I feel your pain. It sort of works in a half-realistic and half-absurd way. I like how it satirizes that finding this toy is harder and harder to come by with so many stores wrapped up in the commercialism spirit. So much so that even one toy store will go as far as to treat it like it's the last Turbo Man on the planet. That is by means of a lottery raffle.
In accordance with the laws of supply and demand, the new list price on each figure just doubled.
For me, this is where the movie works the best, when it's just down to earth, but playing up the over-exaggeration in simple things. It adds to the desperation Howard will have to get his hands on getting a gift for his son. Even in one scene added for the extended version, he goes as far as to buy one from an awkward Yardley Smith cameo.
There's something I wanted to ask you.
Would you like my phone number?
I would like your bag.
My bag?
Yes, I offer you twice what you paid for it.
Oh, sure. What the heck? For that kind of profit, knock yourself out.
Oh, thank you.
Here's my phone number.
Oh.
Ooh. Is it just me or is the idea of Lisa Simpson hitting on the Terminator wrong here? Oh, and spoiler alert, it turns out she purchased Turbo Man's sidekick.
Booster. I don't want Booster.
However, even in the first half there are certain things that are obviously played for laughs. Like, really easily played for laughs. And praise will get a chuckle out of you. Again, I feel this is in part of Chris Columbus's rewrites of the script, which make it feel a tad Home Alone-ish at times. At one point during this raffle with balls, one of them bounces all over the mall, causing Arnold to chase after it. As much as I don't want to argue about the physics of how one little ball can keep bouncing and bouncing and bouncing around, the whole sequence feels placed in just for something the kids to laugh around about. Like, hey, here's Kindergarten Cop chasing after a bouncy ball in a kid's indoor playground. That'll be enough to keep your kids awake. And before I forget, did you ever notice that everyone says this Turbo Man toy is a doll?
You got the doll, right?
To see who gets a doll.
I just was looking for Turbo Man doll.
Now you want that doll or not?
You say you've been looking everywhere for a Turbo Man doll?
Look, I hate to be the sour ball in all this, but this is a doll. Okay. This right here is an action figure. Doll, action figure. Doll, action figure. How can your writers screw up something like that so easily?
It's just a stupid little plastic doll.
That's action figure.
Thank you, Sinbad. Yeah. I can't forget the 1990s comedian that actually kind of sort of went somewhere and then fell off the face of the earth only to find himself doing cameos for shows like American Dad. On the other hand, his appearance in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was hilarious.
My name is Sinbad. This is Sinbad's house. When you're in Sinbad's house, you my bitch!
He plays a disgruntled mailman named Myron, who's also on the hunt as well. I give props for having a character who's a near mirror of Howard with certain different strokes, and I do admit he can have a funny line or two once in a while.
Anyway, how many toiletry kits does a man need? How about those little stupid letters from Kiss to Santa at the North Pole? Dear Santa, could you send me a bike and a flinky? No, your father's been laid off.
But there are two things about this character that really bug me. It sort of doesn't know whether to have him as a villain or just some father lost in the Christmas corruption. They do give reasons for why he goes back and forth between obstacle and friend, but it feels very jarring when he can be sweet in one scene and then diabolical in the next. He makes for a good match against Howard, which can be fun at times.
I got it.
I want all mail carriers hunted down.
He got tore. Get the mailman.
I want the postman found. I want him dealt with.
Also, this second gripe might come off as a little nitpicky, but then again, it's more of a trivial one. Can you believe who they were originally going to get to play this character? That's right! The Myron character was going to be played by Joe Pesci! Can I just pause the movie for a second and say how massively big of a missed opportunity this was? I mean, think about it! A good fella playing against Commando! It just boggles the mind! And, oh, it gets more painful when you hear exactly why they didn't go in this route. Apparently, the reason why is because Joe Pesci was just a couple of inches shorter compared to Schwarzenegger. So they hired someone else who was more of the Terminator's height. Okay. As God is my witness, I wish I was making it up. But I guess it's a fair trade, seeing we get Jim Belushi as a mall Santa who claims he can get Howard a Turbo Man for his son. Yeah, well, it's a good excuse for a Red Heat reunion, and thankfully he gets more lines than the longer version, which are actually really funny.
Meanwhile, all this time, I'm in touch with his feminine side neighbor. He's busy attacking my wife's cookies, all right?
Hey, spare me the details of your twisted life, pal, okay?
But then again, maybe more Belushi can go a little too far, like in this added scene.
Have you ever heard that song? The little boy that Santa Claus forgot?
No.
He's the little boy that Santa Claus forgot. It broke his little heart to find that Santa hadn't come. In the street he envies all those lucky boys. Then wanders home to last year's broken toys.
Please.
He hasn't got a daddy. The little boy that Santa Claus forgot.
Yeah, little additions like that can really slow the movie down, even just for like 30 or 40 seconds. Oh, did I forget to mention this bad Santa is part of an underground elite squad of disgruntled mall Santas that sell counterfeit toys for a high price? Again, not a bad idea on paper, and there are some decent jokes, but what's the purpose of having it in? It just seems more like an excuse for Arnold to have an action scene where he fights a bunch of Santas and... Big Show from the WCW?
I'm gonna deck your halls, bub.
I think I find it weird that I actually know this information. But if you want to know the biggest problem with this fun scene, well, it has so much high energy being poured in that the rest of Jingle All the Way kind of drags. I feel like after so much time is spent shopping around that the whole thing kind of runs out of gas. Literally. And it doesn't help either we have a subplot where Howard's neighbor is constantly trying to have an affair with the wife. Oh yeah, they go there. And man, it lingers close to being creepy and uncomfortable.
Looks like you could use a little you time. Why don't you go upstairs, take a shower? I'll keep an eye on the boys, finish up with the cookies.
Oh, no.
You deserve it.
Okay.
I'm never looking at Captain Carl the same way again. But is there another way we can make this even more awkward?
Your dad is so cool. I wish my dad did stuff like this. Oh, he never used to. Not until he and my mom split up. Really? Hey, maybe your parents should get a divorce. Did wonders for my dad.
Quay?
Maybe your parents should get a divorce. Did wonders for my dad.
I get it. I honestly get it. You want to take on the taboo by the horns here. One of the many things that was so topical in the 1990s. Parental divorce. All right. No, I'm not stopping you. You know, that's fine. You do what you can. There's just one small problem. We just had Arnold fight off crazed toy retailers, angry parents, and wrestle with Santas. And now you want to bring this into the mix and finally act like an adult? Look, if you're going to bring in a topic like that and be serious with it, that's fine. But you're really going to go this route after so much hilarity has just ensued?
Would you hold the goddamn hammering, please?
Gee, I wonder what other mature topics you want to go over while I'm sitting here ready to burst a vessel.
And then they sit there and make a kid feel like garbage if you, the father who's working 24/7, delivering mail so you can make an alimony payment to a woman that slept with everybody at the post office but me.
Okay, I'm certainly not going to touch that one. And speaking of awkwardness, there's a weird running gag where Howard keeps running into this police chief played by Robert Conrad. I really don't know how to describe why it feels strange, but it just appears for the sake of a laugh. Like every time the troubled dad bumps into this officer, it's really just a gag where he's being given a violation for something simple like messing up the cop's motorcycle on accident. On top of that, I think they wasted a big opportunity not having this guy take the role.
Have you seen this boy?
I will admit, it does lead to one good payoff. There's a scene where Howard and Myron invade a radio station that claims to have a Turbo Man, but it turns out to be fake. Ish. Once the police arrive, Myron threatens them with a package which he believes to be an actual bomb, leading to this classic moment.
This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
That was really a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
A funny joke! Unfortunately, the fun stops here when Howard decides to rob from his neighbor, seeing the hack told him he bought a Turbo Man for his kid months ago. So I touched upon the Ted character a little bit, but there's a reason why I haven't until now. It's one thing for a character to be buried in the holiday spirit, but they go the extra mile by having Ted try to get the interest of Howard's wife. For me, I think it's an addition that makes this movie all the more uncomfortable, as he tries to show he's better than his neglecting neighbor. It doesn't add much to the story outside of showing how low of a father Howard is, even when we already have an idea from the opening. But no, they have to push it further by having Ted make advances that really linger on the creep factor. On the other hand, it gave birth to this infamous meme.
Oh, these cookies! I gotta get the recipe from Les.
Put that cookie down! Now!
Anyway, as the Terminator decides to steal Christmas from Troy McClure, the guilt kicks in that maybe this was the wrong thing to do in the first place. But that also means we need another comic set piece as the little kids are starting to nod off.
Balthazar.
Okay, that was kind of worth it just for the line delivery. So blah blah blah, Howard gets caught, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, neighbor seizes an opportunity to make his move. But hey, maybe this means Howard will get an idea that maybe he should save his family. No, because we need a scene where he gets drunk with a reindeer and then finally realizes family's more important than work.
Would you please hold the goddamn hammering now?
Before we get into the final act, I'd like to point out one scene that has bugged me since I first saw it. When Howard's wife goes to the parade with Ted, the pervy neighbor secludes her in his car and tries to make some romantic advances. I guess that comedic factor comes in how she's reacting to all this, but it just comes off as creepy considering we have a hint of adultery in a Christmas family movie. I'm not saying you can't go that route, but when you have Arnold Schwarzenegger beating up Santas a little while ago, and then getting this, it's hard to go from something really silly to something that really should be handled in a better manner.
Well, that didn't exactly go as well as I'd hoped.
Script writing in the 1990s is not all that it's cracked up to be. But if that wasn't a big enough headache, the last 20 minutes are a doozy in comparison. Howard gets mistaken for an actor in the parade and is suited up to be Turbo Man.
Jeez, I've been sweating like a dog in a Chinese restaurant waiting for your sorry ass to show up.
Wait, was that Booger from Revenge of the Nerds? Anyway, the finale of the parade is for Turbo Man to appear and give a Turbo Man action figure to a lucky kid in the audience. Because apparently Santa Claus was not popular enough for this task.
See, Daddy is pointing at me. No, it's me.
Jamie!
He knows my name.
And before we get the super fun mega happy ending, Myron intervenes as Turbo Man's nemesis to get the toy.
Thought your little suit idea was so slick. But you know what? I'm one step ahead of you because I've got a bigger brain.
Yes, but apparently your brain was not big enough for you to avoid starring in Good Burger, huh? So it goes about as much you would expect. Everyone thinks it's all a stunt show, as brawn versus brains at play. I'd be fine with this whole situation if it wasn't for 5 big problems I have with it. Number 1. Everyone believes it's a show and constantly shouts out certain cues to clue in what Howard should do.
Do something, Turbo Man! Use your Turbo Dip!
Why? Why, Turbo Man? Use your jetpack!
Turbo Man! Use your Turbo Ring!
I know they have to hint in what the actors in the parade should be doing, but it's kind of bad when you have Anchorman and people yelling out, "Use your Turbo Ring!" and stuff like that. What does everyone think this is? The Rocky Horror Picture Show in Christmas?
You ever see the movie Vertigo? That mean anything to you?
Number 2. Jamie seems way too obsessed in that toy, isn't he? I mean, he climbs a building and scales up a Christmas decoration and puts himself in danger. And all for the sake of a Christmas toy. I know this is something he really wants, but there is wanting something and being deeply fixed over it. Number 3. Why are the policemen not stopping this? You think at this point one of the cops would question if this was part of the show, or at least one of them was at rehearsal and knows exactly what's going on. Really? There's no one in here that really thinks this is going a little too far?
Don't worry, ma'am. It's all part of the show. Please, now get back up on the sidewalk.
But that's my son up there.
Oh, he's wonderful.
He's not part of the show?
But all of that is nothing compared to the 4th problem that I have with this. Go on, play it.
Why? Why, Turbo Man? Use your jetpack.
It's Turbo Power!
Let me tell you, I refuse to accept something that idiotic as that! Ah! Oh, and my final problem? Well, after Howard saves his kid and Myron gets arrested, Howard reveals himself to his family to much bewilderment, to which he makes this revelation.
You two mean more to me than anything. I'm so sorry if I haven't shown that lately. I know I've been neglecting both of you. But no more.
Ooh, what an order-loaded tripe. Look, I can give brownie points for at least him learning his lesson, but I just can't forgive the fact that how that was delivered in a very shoved in and phoned in and, ooh, other similarities that say, oh, what do they say in Americana? Tagged on. But oh, we're not done yet. Jamie decides to let Myron have his Turbo Man toy, even though the diabolical mailman chased after him.
But Jamie, I thought you wanted this doll more than anything.
What do I need the doll for? I got the real Turbo Man at home.
Not to pour salt on such a cheery scene, but in a realistic setting, you do realize that Myron is still going to jail for his actions. Unless, made out on bail. So even if he has the Turbo Man, his chances of getting to his son will be a little after Christmas, wouldn't it? And you do know there's a good chance that your father has certain business meetings if he's that busy and everyone will have a Turbo Man except yourself. Did you ever think of that into the equation? Oh well. Merry, Merry Christmas! Oh, and by the way, there's this coda.
Howard, I've been thinking. Everything that you went through today for Jamie really shows how much you love him. And if you're willing to go through all of that for him just for a present, well, that makes me wonder.
What?
What did you get me?
Wow, what a great setup for a sequel that will never be. And then I got made into a cheap direct-to-video sequel with Larry the Cable Guy. Yuck! You know, I think we all learned a valuable lesson here. That there's no such thing as a bad idea unless you see it executed. I will admit, Jingle All the Way is not a bad movie, but it's quite a mess. I still stand by the fact that the first half is actually very solid, until it descends into a buffet of cliched family movie tropes and tagged on messages about goodwill to humankind being more important than the holiday commercialism. The performances are not half bad, as you can tell everyone is having a good time, especially Arnold, who's cartoony to the max when needed to be, and taken seriously when he has to. Some of the jokes are hit and miss, and some gags border on uncomfortable PG-13 territory, and when it detours into weird comedic set pieces, it can get lost in what tone it wants to be. It's not perfect, but at least it's watchable. And if you consider this a Christmas classic, I won't hold it against you. Just know, there's better stuff out there, it's right up there! Oof! 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 Just know that some people have their own Christmas traditions to go by. And speaking of Christmas traditions, well, I really hate to close up on this note, but I'm gonna have to. You see, I really hate to have reality settle in and let me talk like this, but sometimes we gotta drop the mask once in a while and say what's on our chest and have to get it out there. The thing is, we're living in hard times. Like, really, really hard times. And before you even think I'm reading this off of the script, I'm going to say right now I'm not even reading off of the script. I have this pre-planned right here. So, no scripting. No. I'm actually saying this from the heart because I want to. I really do. There's been so many things that have happened this year. Like, really bad things. Things that have caused us to be frustrated, things to stray us from our own work, our own artistic abilities, things to do stuff like this, and go out and make people merry, and joyful, and laugh, and inspire, and enlighten, and it can really get in the way. It really, really can get in the way. So, my Christmas wish unto you is this. If you know someone who's in these troubled times, if you know someone that's really going through a hard time, reach out to them, man. Talk to them. See how they're doing. Invite them over for, Christmas dinner or maybe a lunch. We're all in this together. And nothing is going to get better until we actually do something. There are less fortunate people out there. Donate to a charity. Do something out of the goodness of your heart. Just something good. I still stand by the fact that cynicalism is the least form in today's world. It gets you nowhere. It always does. But if you're kind enough, and do something good, amazing things will happen. No matter how small or how big they are, they will. And if it's not like something big or gigantic, if they don't lead you to somewhere, cherish it. Just really cherish it. Because who knows? Maybe that miracle will happen if you do something good. All it just takes is one act of random kindness. And then just maybe things will get better. But we won't know until we make that decision. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy your Kwanzas. Have a great Gung Hei Fat Choi to everyone out there, around the world. Because someday, things will get better. Be optimistic, even when we're at our lowest form. Because if we give into the negativity, we'll be living negative. There is such thing as a good future. Just have to put our mind to it. And right now, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this year while I have the chance. Making people happy, making people laugh, cry, entertain them, enlighten them, in any which way I can. And if I don't, well, I didn't. There's always the next video or the next person I'll run into. So, until next time, folks, have a safe, happy holiday. And to all, a good night.
Someday at Christmas, men won't be boys, playing with bombs like kids play with toys. December, art will see the world when men are free. We swing it like that.
Someday at Christmas, there'll be no wars when we've learned what Christmas is for. When we have found what life's really worth, there'll be peace on earth. Can we might say that?
Someday all our dreams will come to be. Someday in a world where men are free. Maybe not in time for you and me, but someday at Christmas time.
Someday at Christmas, we'll see a land with no hungry children, no empty hands. One happy morning, people will share a world where people care. Whoa!
Someday at Christmas, there'll be no tears when all men are equal and none have fears. One shining